Hey friends, welcome back to our remote coverage of CES. We're live here in Pretoria, South Africa. We got a nice little landscape going on. We got some zebra in the background. We got a lot of, are these springbok or are these different kind of bok? They're springbok. So that's kind of cool. Let's talk about Intel and everything that they discussed at their keynote. If you remember, Intel did their architecture day not less than a month ago, unveiling a whole bunch of new things, such as their Sunny Cove architecture, as well as their Foveros 3D stacking technology. And there was more that they had about that going on at CES this year. Primarily, the main thing that I think we can be super excited for is the fact that we're finally getting 10 nanometers. They're saying that they're finally entering into high volume manufacturing of 10 nanometers for their Intel CPUs, and that should be out by holiday 2019. So we still have nearly an entire year to go before we actually get it into a system. That zebra is really close. They just want to say hi. Stop clapping. So the Sunny Cove architecture is going to be in their Ice Lake mobile chips, which is great, but it's not coming to desktop as far as they've announced. If we do get Sunny Cove, it would be another yearly iteration from the Coffee Lake refresh that we got a few months ago. But as of now, it looks like we're only getting it in the mobile variety, which is okay. It's supposed to be partnered with the Gen 11 graphics, which Intel did say should support up to 1 teraflops of gaming performance, which is about a GT 1030. And if that actually comes to the mobile variety, we might get some pretty good thin and lights that can play a lot of decent games at decent frame rates at decent settings. Intel also showed off Lakefield, which was a demonstration of their Foveros technology, which is stacking different CPU dies onto an active interposer to connect them in a way that just never happened before, calling it the hybrid x86 setup, where they can have both Intel Atom CPUs as well as regular Intel x86 CPUs, and it can turn it into something that's more amalgamated. That's a word. Foveros technology hasn't really changed anything as of yet, but the extra flexibility of the die stacking technology could actually impact a whole bunch of industries upcoming, and we'll have to see where it actually results. And then on top of that, Intel did announce a few new CPUs. I believe it was 9 in total of the new Coffee Lake refresh setup. None of them really too great. We're getting the i5 9400, but in the video that we did of comparing the 8600K versus the 9600K, you'll see that there's basically no difference. The fact that it's soldered instead of just being glued on makes very little thermal difference. And so the i5 9400, great, it exists, but so did the 8400, and that's probably going to be a better buy, especially if you can get it at a discount. And then there was also an i3 8100F that was announced, which is not going to have integrated graphics, but it's just going to be a dedicated CPU, taking more of the AMD approach to things, you know, which is the rest of the CPUs that were announced. It's basically CPUs that have already been out, but without integrated graphics. So that's cool, Intel, taking things away and hopefully charging us a little bit less. They also did announce a new AI CPU setup that they're going to be working on in the coming future. They said that they have worked on the fact that CPUs aren't really the best use case for AI processing, since they can't do many things in parallel, but they have worked on it. They have increased the performance by several percentage points, and hopefully might actually have some parity with GPUs in certain AI environments, and so that they won't be useless, because if they are, Intel's gonna miss out on a whole lot of money. So it's a good thing for them to get in on it now before they miss all of that sweet, sweet AI cash. And speaking of Intel's GPU, it was nowhere to be found at the keynote that they gave at CES. However, since we discussed it at the architecture day, there was a rendering done by a fan of Intel who came up with a complete mock-up of what they're expecting the new Intel Xe GPU to look like. You see it on the screen now. It actually looks quite gorgeous. He did it by the standalone GPU as well as in an integrated system, and dang, if they actually make it look like this, it's highly compelling. They make those lights RGB, totally fine. If they want to make them blue, they want to make them blue. I'm okay with it. I get it. It's a branding thing, Intel. But yeah, Cristiano came up with some dope renders of what we could expect the new Intel Xe GPUs to look like. So much so that Intel themselves responded saying that they appreciated his work. Hopefully they might actually take it into consideration, because I think it's a proper reference cooler. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, I think that's it for what Intel announced at CES. It wasn't a whole heck of a lot. They don't really have much up their sleeve. There was a tweet from Hardware Canucks about an X5599 motherboard that they saw, which has two 24 pins and 6 8 pins, which of course it does when you have to power 28 cores. There was some mention about the fact that they might start selling a 56 core CPU, which is two 28 core CPUs glued together, which they made fun of AMD for doing that back at Computex a couple of years ago. But you know, it's Intel. They make fun of you until they have to actually copy you. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this. Stop the clapping, Brett. That's gonna wrap it up for this video on our coverage of CES, Intel, all of that good stuff from the remote location of Pretoria, South Africa. Don't you appreciate the nature? We're gonna keep covering it. Anything interesting that comes out of CES, you'll find it here in our South African coverage. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. If you want to support us directly, you can do so over on our Patreon, patreon.com/UFDtech. And we try to upload our videos early there as well as do them ad-free. So if either of those things interest you, you can support us and get that little perk. Anyways, like button, get subscribed. Catch you smiling faces next video. Bye. Love you too. I gave up. I don't know. It's hot. My brain don't work. Hi, zebras. There's ostriches over there.
Legitimately the only thing we actually need to worry about in this place.
Yeah, they're super scary. You don't mess with ostriches. It's messed up. Don't touch them.